Hey guys, happy Friday. Carl and I are looking forward to talking to you today about deal origination. We're capping off an incredible week, and today is all about finding your dream deal, right? It's what we all want, it's what we all are looking for, and looking forward to having you guys come along today. We've got a little training Carl's put together we're going to go through, and then we've got Q&A as always thereafter. So happy to have you guys here. Carl, how are you shaking on this fine Friday?
I am shaking. I am shaking. We've just been chatting. So we're buying a business next week, you and I, just going through the final throes of the legals and the documents. All the financing's been signed off. So yeah, you and I are going to be very proud parents on Wednesday of yet another company. So so it's great, and I love the fact that today I get to do some coaching, because you and I, we eat our own cooking. So we're not just coaches. We don't just coach people how to buy businesses. That's what we do in our primary line of business. So it's great to be doing deals and then teaching people how to do it as well. So good day for me. Busy day, but a good day.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like they say, those who can't do teach. Well, in our case, it's the exact opposite, right? We do and teach, and it's part of the fun of 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 this for us, right? We've talked about it before. It's building this army of entrepreneurs. It's building this army of business owners who have gotten the opportunity to irrevocably change their lives, to achieve their successes and live a life worth living. And it's just incredibly powerful. So we're thrilled to always be here and serve you guys. So we're looking forward to today's training. If you guys are here, shout us out. Looking forward to hearing from you guys in the chat. So just give it a shout. We've got Kevin, we've got Code Nero. So looking forward to having you guys. So join on in and tell us where you're from. Tell us how your week's been. We're looking forward to hanging out with you guys today. Carl, I think it's going to be pretty incredible here in about, 8 days. They're going to be joining me in Mexico here, which is exciting.
So this time next week, I will be on the plane from Germany to Mexico City. So, and as you know, I've booked 4 flights. My first 3 flights got cancelled. My 4th flight is so far a green light. So I got to fly from UK to Germany, Germany to Mexico City, then Mexico City to Cancun. So it's going to be a pretty interesting trip. There's 19 people booked on the flight from Germany. So I'll have a whole section to myself, I think. I'm right at the back of the bus on this flight. And yeah, I'll probably have the whole plane to myself. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'll be there with bells and whistles to pick you up at the airport, and we'll make sure it's all sorted out. So
I'm just looking forward to some great weather, because the weather in the UK, for you guys that know me, I live in the northern part of the UK, in the middle of the countryside, and the weather the past month has been really bad. It's been so windy and rainy, and I'm looking forward to getting my shorts on and getting some sun. I know it's a work trip. We've got a whole bunch of things to do. A lot of our expanding team now are based down there. So it's going to be all work and a little bit of play, but I just want some sun, buddy. Crikey, do I want some sun. My wife said to me this morning, could she come with me? I say, no, you're not coming with me.
No, we can stick her in the apartment, no problem. She'll be off getting some sun and enjoying herself. So we've also got Manaj, Ron, Guad 1780. I'm only assuming, Guad, you're born in 1780, of course. Mark Knight, we know Mark. Teresa, BK, Garrett, guys, it's great to have you here. If we're speaking locations, we got a couple of folks from New York, Florida, Canada, Seattle. Saskatchewan, man, right middle of the fine country of Canada, right smack in the middle. Farm country, Saskatchewan, I believe. So yeah, great to have you guys here with us. We're just queuing up, making sure we get a good crowd going before we jump into the training. Be thinking about questions you guys have for deal origination. We are looking forward to answering those as well once we get through the training. So really happy to have you guys here today. Brian's here, and Guad is Rehan. We've got Robert from Florida. Pamela's in Ohio. I know Brian's in Ohio, if I remember correctly. So it's great to see you guys. Let us know where you are. We're looking forward to this training and to this chat. So, and as we alluded to, we've got an announcement here at the end, which we're excited about. So we're looking forward to that. Carl.
Yes.
You ready to cue this up, my man?
I'm ready to cue this up. Should I get cracking, share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and get cracking and share your screen. Folks on the line, absolutely get your questions queued up for deal origination. Today is all about—
Can you enable me to share my screen?
No, why would I do that? Come on. Yeah, 1 second. Let's see here. Boom. You are good to go, my friend.
Here we go.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, go ahead and post them in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as we're through training. Yeah, we'll get it from there. Alrighty, Carl, I can see your screen, so I think we're good to go.
You can see my screen. Let me just zoom it up a little bit bigger. Let me go to view, zoom. There we go. That good?
Yeah, we're good.
Alrighty. So this week, if you've been reading the Confessions of a Dealmaker emails, we've done kind of deal origination week, because as you know, we had a big promo offer last week for Dealmaker CEO to help those people get out of the gate really, really quickly. We wanted to do this kind of special training, and this training's free to kind of everybody today. And we're not going to go through the mechanics of deal origination in terms of all the individual strategies. If you're in Dealmaker CEO or you're in our Launchpad Pro product, which we'll talk about with you at the end, we teach you how to do all of these mechanical things. But what I wanted to do today was just take a step back and just talk about what are the principles of deal origination. Why is deal origination so important? And there's actually 5 guiding principles that you need to embody to be an absolute complete ninja at originating deals and generating tons and tons of deal flow. So I'll tell you what the 5 principles are, and then we'll go through them one by one. So this training will take about 20 minutes. So the 5 principles are: number 1, deal origination is a numbers game, and I'll get into that shortly. Number 2, 90% of deal origination when it comes to the seller is about psychology. There's a common theme that it's all about numbers. It's not. Psychology is far more important in the small and medium businesses that we're targeting. So we'll get into that. And then I'm going to talk about the concept of a deal origination machine. I'm going to use a supercar analogy. For those guys that know me, and my wife bought me a supercar for my 50th, which I'm really pleased about. So I'm going to talk about a supercar as you as the deal originator, and why you've got to build a machine for deal origination to be an ongoing process. What I'm also then going to talk about is mindset and your mindset. Your mindset is 70% of your success as a deal maker. So we'll get into that. And then we're going to round this up talking about relationships. So deal making and deal origination is a relationship business. You've got to build them, you've got to nurture them, and you've got to leverage them for really high quality deal flow. So we'll get into that. So let's start with the numbers. So like anything, it's all about focus and it's all about numbers. And deal origination, guys, it's a lot like sales. So if any of you guys have worked in sales, you know that to win a customer for your product or your service, you have to build a funnel, and you put loads of leads into your funnel, and then you go through, you qualify those potential customers, and then some of them are going to buy from you and some of them aren't. And deal origination is very, very similar to that. You cannot randomly pick one deal and expect that deal to be closed. Sometimes you get lucky, and it actually works like that. There are students in Launchpad Pro and Dealmaker CEO that just found one deal and they closed it. But generally, that's the exception rather than the rule. Generally, you need a bunch of deals to look at, because these deals, you might not like them. They might not like you. The numbers might not work. You might not be able to get the financing that you need. It might not be a motivated seller. So you need lots of opportunities that you source from all the different multiple methods. And I'm going to summarize the key 4 deal origination methods later. So what you do is you generate a bunch of opportunities, and then your goal is to just very, very quickly filter them. So you're filtering them on, is it a deal that's in your wheelhouse? Do you have a motivated seller? Does it have assets and cash flows and those different types of things? So you're filtering those businesses to then create a forced list, a short list. And then as you whittle that list down, and you might start out with 50 leads, and then you end up with 5 or 10 that you really, really like and they like you. Those are then the deals that you tend to need to spend the time on. So deal origination is a numbers game. You can't pick a random deal. It might work for you, but having lots of different options and opportunities is the smart way to go. Next principle is all about psychology. And I want to explain this in a bit more detail. So back in the day, when I was a Wall Street guy and I was a corporate M&A guy, I was doing deals in the hundreds of millions and the billions of dollars. And when you're doing deals at that size, those deals are really all about the numbers. There's a little bit of psychology, but not much. It's more, when I say psychology, it's more politics with investors or the stock market or those different things. But really, those deals are about numbers. It's all about financial engineering. You know, if you're HP and you've got $100 billion market cap, you can offer your shares to the companies that you're trying to buy. So it all just becomes math at the end of the day. But where we play, sub 10 million and even more so sub $5 million in terms of the revenue of the business, it flips. So it becomes 90% about the seller psychology and only really 10% about the numbers. And when you think about it, when you're looking at deals, there are really 3 things that you need to focus on. So number 1, you've got to focus on a deal, especially your first deal. It's got to be in a sector that you know and that you understand to some degree. You also want a deal in a business that's got some form of financial DNA, some financial attributes that are going to allow you to buy it using other people's money. And those are assets, and they sit on a balance sheet, and cash flows. If the business is generating a lot of cash flow, then it's pretty straightforward going out and raising financing to buy it. But one of the key things, and this is what most rookie deal makers fail to understand, is a big part of the perfect deal is finding that distressed or highly motivated seller of a good business. And let me give you an analogy. Imagine you go out, you start doing deal origination, and you find 2 completely identical businesses. I mean, they're the same business. They're in the same town. They do the same stuff, so same products and services. They might be in the same building. They got the same revenues. They got the same profits or cash flow, the same assets, the same customers. Everything's the same. The only difference is the seller. And more importantly, what's going on inside of the seller's psychology, inside of the seller's mindset. So take the guy on the left. These are 2 completely identical businesses. Nothing's different. The seller on the left, he's young, he's having a lot of fun, he's an entrepreneur. Every business is for sale, guys. It doesn't matter. If you have $2 trillion right now, you can go buy Apple or Amazon or Facebook or Microsoft. So every business is for sale. It's just a question of the price and the terms of the deal. So don't let anybody ever tell you that their business isn't for sale. It's just a question of, you know, how much are you prepared to pay to buy that business? So it's a mistake to be focusing your energy on the guy on the left, because yeah, he's going to sell his business to you, but if he's really happy, if he's not motivated to want to come out of that business, he might want a 5 times multiple to sell that business. Most businesses are valued at a multiple of their profits or their cash flows. And the average is between 2.5 and 3. It's more 2.5 if you're in the US or Canada. It's more 3 if you're in the UK. In Australia, it's even higher. It's 4, 4.5. But if the entrepreneur, if the owner's really happy in the business and they're not motivated, for them to sell, they might want a 5 times multiple. They might want a 10 times multiple. And more importantly, they're going to want most of that money when they sell the business to you. They're going to want most of that money at closing because they don't have that leverage and that motivation to want to get out. What you need to find is the guy on the right. So the guy on the right, and there's millions of these people when you know where to look. You want the retiring baby boomer, or you want the frustrated, burnt out, distressed entrepreneur. So they're the total opposite of the guy on the left. This is the seller that's not really having any fun. They might want to retire. They might be sick. They might be dying in some cases. They might have just run out of energy. There could be a whole host of different reasons why they no longer want to be in their business. They want to come out of their business and get on with their life. So that seller is going to be prepared to sell the business to you for a lower multiple in that 2 to 3 average range. And more importantly, they're going to be prepared to take a lot of the money for the business after closing. And that's called seller financing or deferred consideration. So when you're looking for deals, you've got to find the guys on the right, not the guys on the left. Principle number 3 is deal origination. Is you've got to look at it as a machine. You've got to look at it as an ongoing process. So back to the supercar. You know, I didn't get a Ferrari for my 50th. I got an Audi R8 Turbo. But here's a Ferrari example. So imagine yourself. So you're the deal maker. You're the Ferrari. You're the supercar that's going to go out there and do deals. So if that's you, your destination is really the outcome. What are you actually looking to achieve? And it's to buy a business, small business, doing an LBO deal, leverage buyout deal without you putting your own money in. And your map, your GPS to get you to where you're going to go is Dealmaker CEO, or it could be Launchpad Pro, or any of the other training that we have. But what's really important is there's 2 critical elements to being successful. The first one is the fuel for the car. Without fuel, the car's not going to start. And your fuel is your mindset. So it's your mindset, it's your purpose, it's why are you actually doing this? And we'll get into that next. But really what's key for deal origination is the engine. So you can have a Ferrari with full of fuel. If it's not got an engine inside of it, it's not going to move fast, which is what you want to do. So your engine is your deal origination machine. And when you look at the 10-step system of buying any business, you know the steps. It's mindset, deal spec, deal origination is step number 3. Then you have all the other steps. And one mistake that I see a lot of deal makers making is they'll do deal origination as part of step 3. And then when they start having meetings, they stop originating deals and they carry on with the rest of the process. And the problem with that is if you only originate 3 or 4 deals and all of those deals don't amount to something, then you've got to start again, start repriming the pump. So what's critical is your deal origination has got to be an ongoing process. Same with mindset, which I'll get into next. So whilst you might not start deal origination till step 3 in the process, you can do that very, very quickly, because once you've gone through the mindset training and once you've gone through the deal specification training in Dealmaker CEO or Launchpad Pro, then you'll know exactly what type of business you want to buy, but more importantly, why you want to buy it. What are the reasons that you want to become a business owner? Is it legacy? Is it freedom? Is it wealth? Is it cash flow? You'll understand all those things, and then that becomes your fuel and your purpose to really take this forward. But then when you start deal originating, you've got to carry on doing it. And that's not just because you might only want to buy one business. If you want to buy 10 businesses or 73 businesses, which is our current student record, then obviously you're going to be doing deal origination for years and years and years and years. But even if you're only doing one deal, don't stop originating deals until you've closed that first deal, because you might find other opportunities that you can do for bolt-on acquisitions. And let's just talk about mindset. So step 4 is mindset. So mindset is really 70% of your success as a deal maker. There are 3 things that will make you successful as a deal maker. The first one is having a strategy. So it's having Deal Maker CEO, it's having Launchpad Pro, it's being in the academy, it's being in props. That's a system, that's training, that's tools, that's skills that you can model. But knowledge alone is not power. People that say that knowledge is power, it's total BS in my opinion. You've got to execute, you've got to implement the knowledge to get the results that you want. So if 10% of success is the system, the map that you use, 20% of it is actually executing. So it's taking the action and putting it into practice. But what will drive your execution, what will make you do that work and get the results that you want is your mindset. And your mindset boils down to 4 things. It's what you believe. So if you believe you can't do this, it's not going to work for you. You've got to believe that this is going to work. You've seen all the hundreds of students that have closed deals. You've got to work on your own belief systems and really nail your ability to do this. And the second is your purpose. We talked about this before, and you might find this really strange, but nobody wants to own a business. You don't. What you want are the deep emotional benefits that owning a business will give you. It's pride, it's freedom, it's wealth creation, it's cash flow, it's insurance, it's assurance, it's ego in some places. We all make decisions as humans using the emotions in our subconscious brain. So once you've dialed those in and you understand why you really want it, it's the pleasure pain principle, right? Once you figure that out, this becomes a lot easier. It allows you then to take massive action and do lots of things. You're able to condition that, and then that gives you the momentum. So when you push the accelerator in that car and you get to 50, 60 miles or kilometers an hour, you've then got momentum. So even if you don't accelerate anymore, the car's still going to fly forward at a pretty high speed. And one of the things that may also hold you back, and I want to talk about this with a little story. Some of you might have heard this before if you've been to one of the events that Adam and I have put on over the past year or so. I want to talk about fear. It's really important that you don't give in to your fear and let the fear kind of hold you back. So I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm going to put on my Tony Robbins Platinum Partnership baseball cap. So Tony Robbins is one of my mentors. So he's been my mindset mentor for a number of years now. And my whole belief systems and how I operate, a lot of that stuff I learned from Tony. And we've got all of that content and we've plugged that into Launchpad Pro and the Dealmaker CEO system. And what was really interesting is I went to an event about 15 months ago. It was August of 2019. I went to, it's called Life and Wealth Mastery, and it was on a beautiful Spanish island called Tenerife, which is just off the coast of Africa. And we're in there day 1, and they gave us a challenge, and it was a fear challenge. Now, I was horrified when I found out about this challenge. The challenge was you had to climb up a 100-foot pole, and then you had to leap off the top and grab hold of a zip wire and then sail back down to the ground. And when they told me about this, I absolutely froze, because those of you that know me, you will know that I have suffered very, very badly from vertigo, to the point where I could never sit next to the window on an airplane. Whenever I stayed in a hotel, I had to stay on the ground floor. I couldn't be on a high floor. I had terrible, terrible vertigo. So when they told me that I had to do this, I thought, you know what, I don't think I can do it. Vertigo for me has been a 45-year problem. But I did it anyway. I got up that pole, and I'm about halfway up, and fear absolutely gripped me. I looked down, and the pole's swaying in the wind, and I was so frightened. So I gripped the pole, and I'm literally shaking. I'm nauseating all over this pole. It was disgusting. And I thought to myself, Carl, you're a leader. You're a leader. Don't show your weaknesses. You can do this. Don't give in to your fear. So I just gutted it out. I got up to the top of that pole and I leaped off, and I don't have vertigo today. And there was one thing that got me to the top of that pole. And it's really interesting. On the plane journey out about 3 days earlier, and my family came with me. My wife and son came. They didn't do the event. They were relaxing by the pool. But on the plane out, I read this really, really awesome book. And the book was called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And in that book, he talks about the concept of a cookie jar. And what he means by that is your cookie jar is like your mental list of memories. And your cookie jar is in life, no matter what you've done or where you're from, every single person watching this YouTube live right now, you will have done something in your life that you can remember that you did that overcame the odds. So it doesn't matter what it is, you've overcome those, you've done something extraordinary at some point in your life. So my message is, whenever you get into a tough spot, so if you start the journey as a deal maker and you hit a little bit of a roadblock, just remember back, reach into that mental cookie jar and remember that actually there have been times in your history, in your past, where you've overcome the odds and you've got amazing stuff done. And then there's another book that I've recently read. As you know, I've just done 75 Hard. And one of the books I read was The Iron Cowboy, Redefining Possible by James Lawrence. This guy did 50 Ironmans, which is a 2.5 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, plus a marathon in a day. He did it 50 days in a row in 50 different states. What this guy went through was just insane. I don't think human history will ever be repeated with what this guy did. So when you read these books and you realize what these guys went through, everything else that you try and do with your life just becomes so much easier. It's amazing. So cookie jar mindset, really, really important. And then the fifth principle to wrap this up is deal origination is a relationship business. Relationships are absolutely critical to your role as a deal maker. And what's really interesting is when we talk about building a relationship network, there's a reason. So about 20% of all businesses that sell through business brokers. The other 80% don't. They sell through direct approaches and relationship networks. So before a seller goes anywhere near a business broker, whether it's Biz Buy Sell, whether it's Transworld, Benchmark, doesn't matter. Before they go anywhere near a broker, they tell 5 people. They tell their spouse, but then they tell 4 people that you can network with. They tell their wealth manager. Why do they tell their wealth manager? Well, it's like, hey, Jim, I'm about to sell my business. Hopefully, I'm going to get some money at closing. I'm going to need you to invest that money for me into the market that's going to give me a return. So if you're networking with wealth managers, if you're using LinkedIn or you're going to networking events and you're networking with wealth managers, they're going to send you deals. They will know businesses that are for sale, and they're incentivized to help you because if they get you deal flow, then they are going to get commissions and fees when their client invests any closing proceeds. Similar with a CPA, the business owner will tell their CPA, say, hey, I'm thinking about selling my business. What do you think? Because the CPA can either act for the seller. So if you're reaching out to CPAs, you're going to be able to get deal flow from them. Same with lawyers. Every deal needs a lawyer and a CPA. There's a CPA and a lawyer on the buy side, which is you, and there's a CPA and a lawyer on the sell side to help with the deal. So if you're networking with those people and you're speaking to them, they're going to have deals before a broker ever looks at them. And same with banks or financiers. So whoever the business banks with, or if they've got financing in the business already, networking with those people is going to give you that as well. And what's really important about relationships is TCRS. So what the F is TCRS? It's trust, it's credibility, it's rapport, and it's positioning yourself as a safe pair of hands. This is a human business. This is all done between people. It's buyers and sellers. We're human beings. So you have to get them to know you, like you, and trust you. So when you're buying a business, if it's in a sector you know, you understand, you're going to have some credibility. You need to have them trust you, that you're that credible person, that safe pair of hands that's going to take the business on. Because a lot of business owners, they might have owned their business for 10, 20, 30, even 40 years. And they've probably spent more time in that business than they have with their own family. So it's like giving up one of their children, if you will. So they want somebody, 79% of times, they want a buyer that's going to look after the business, protect their legacy, protect their employees, protect their customers and their suppliers. They don't necessarily want to sell out to the highest bidding trade buyer that's going to rip it up and destroy it as soon as the contract's been signed. And rapport is really, really important. And if you're in any of the training programs, we walk you through all of the different ways of building rapport. And then just to finish off, once you've done all that, there are really 4 big methods that you need to focus on for deal origination. If you're in the programs, there's tons of others that we go through, but here are the big 4. Relationship networks we've just covered. Obviously brokers, that's where most people start. There's millions of deals listed with brokers right now. My advice with brokers is only look at deals really that are 6 months listed and beyond, because brokers, as we know, sometimes tend to overvalue a business, because brokers are in the business of selling to other businesses, so they jack up the price. So after about 6 months, a lot of the tire kickers have gone, so you typically then have free reign. Direct approaches are my favorite method of doing deals. You can go online, there's loads of free or low-cost data that you can use, create a list. So if you want to buy a web design firm within 50 miles of Chicago, inside of about 30 minutes, you can find a list of hundreds of those companies, names, revenues, profits, and then you can just write to them in a highly professional way, highly confidential way. And again, if you're in any of the training programs, we have all of those scripts and methods to do that. And then leveraging social media. When I started my deal-making journey in 1992 in a Wall Street investment bank, we didn't have Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and the internet and all these different things. We had to use traditional methods. So today, social media is amazing, especially Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are phenomenal tools that you can leverage to get great deal flow. So that's just a quick piece of training on deal origination. Any questions on that, hit us up in the chat, or indeed any other questions that you have on any other aspect of the deal making process. We will answer those for you. So I hope you found that useful. Yeah, let's see if you've got questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for running through that, Carl. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. I think there's a couple takeaways there, but for me, the biggest takeaway is it all starts up in your head, right? Carl talked about mindset being 70%, really 70% of the process, especially when it comes to origination. And I have to agree with it. It is so incredibly important, that consistency, that as we've talked about in confessions this week and beyond, like always be originating, always be originating. You know, I'll just hold this up. This is for my phone. This is a picture one of our partners in the partner program posted this morning. That's 60 letters he's put together and written, customized to different opportunities. And he's going to mail those out, and he's going to work to contact those people. Like, that's hustle. That's origination. Carl, I'm going to ask you to pull one slide back up if you don't mind. So I want to go back to the slide of the funnel real quick, if you can pull that back up, and then we'll get to some questions. While you're doing that, just a shout out to everyone who's here. Let's see here. So we've got Bangor, we've got Kevin from Richmond. Kevin, I used to live in Richmond for a while. Love Richmond. We've got Jan, Anderson, Bala, Chad. We know Chad from Texas. David, Joseph. So good to see you guys. Money Cash. Let's see who else. Yeah, we've got David, Rich. Good to have you guys here. Good to have you guys here. So, all right. So let's. So Carl's got this slide back up. So it is a numbers game, and I want to talk about this particular slide in particular, right? I know Chad has asked this question. Chad's going to close a deal next week. It's his actual second deal. So congrats to Chad on that. But what's really important to think about, and Chad's question is, at what point, I'll just find it real quickly. About to close a deal, hopefully Tuesday. From my funnel, a second place opportunity is still for sale. How soon should I begin pursuing this after closing the current deal? It's very asset heavy. So from our perspective, especially if we're taking this always be originating mentality, you want to be originating and working on multiple deals at the same time. Because even though, Chad, you are literally days away, 4 days, 5 days away, potentially from closing another deal, the important element here is that something could happen. Carl and I literally 11 months ago had a deal abort the day before closing, right? It happens. It can happen. And that was actually a deal in your home state there, Chad, in Texas. So the idea is that deals can abort for a number of reasons. Carl also had the slide that showed all the 10 steps and where origination sits within the whole process. So no, there's so much left beyond the origination. Yep, perfect. And so the idea is that if you're not filling your funnel and moving things through this step-by-step process at all times and concurrently, you open yourselves up to be in a situation where you fail. Where all of a sudden you don't have anything really in the pipeline because you put it all on pause. You had to restart the engine, so to speak. So exactly, reprime the pump. So the idea is you should always be originating. You should always be pouring into the top of that funnel, the top of that diagram, so that as you move through the process, you've always got opportunities, because it is a numbers game. Things will fall out. So I just want to really reiterate and reestablish those kind of key points from this. So reprime the pump. Oh, thanks. I'm gonna let's see. You want to stop sharing?
Yeah, sure.
We'll get to some questions here. So guys, ask your questions. We'll go through them now, but really going through that origination process consistently is really key. Okay, let's see here. Bengor's asked, what do I say to accountants and lawyers on LinkedIn? Well, that's pretty straightforward, actually. You just need to be honest and transparent with who you are and what you're looking to accomplish. The best part about networking is people, by and large, will look to help other people achieve their goals if they know about their goals. And that's just a really critical element of this, right? If you're not sharing with your friends, your family, any context you have, what you're looking to do and what you're looking to accomplish, it's going to be really hard for those people to keep their ears and their minds keyed to opportunities that might benefit you. The best deals are the ones that come to you from an off-market perspective. These are when people know what you're looking to do and they're bringing the deals to you. Carl and I are in a situation where we have people bringing deals to us somewhat regularly and all the time. They want us to look at them. They want us to evaluate them. They want us to buy these companies. For us, origination looks different as a result because we've built the network and we've built the kind of far-reaching group of individuals who know what we're looking to do. We're very transparent about we want to buy companies. And so for you guys, the more people you talk to and the more people you tell, the better. So getting back to your question, what do I say to accountants and lawyers? Just be direct. Tell them what you're looking to do. Tell them what you're looking to accomplish, but be specific, right? There's a lot of training in Dealmaker CEO and otherwhere around deal specification, and this is crazy important. It is the linchpin of good origination. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for, then how do you know where to look? And how do you know how to look? And how do you know what to look for? And if you tell people, hey, I'm looking to buy a company, and they're like, what kind? And you're like, I don't know. How can they help you originate deals? How can they think of anyone they know, anyone they trust, anyone in their network, right? Networks are an expanding ring, right? If you know 5 people and those 5 people know 5 people, all of a sudden you've got a network of 25 people, and it can be really powerful.
Here's a little kind of like super pro tip. So this tip that I'm going to give you is absolute gold. So when you're talking to these people, so 2 things: be very specific to Adam's point about the type of business you want to buy, but also tell them why. Tell them why you want to buy this particular type of business, because people care more about not what you do, but why you do it. The Simon Sinek book, Start With Why, is a great example of that. The other thing as well is when you're talking to particularly lawyers and CPAs, you want to start the conversation by telling them that you're in the market for their services. So they're always going to want to talk to you. What lawyer or CPA doesn't want more clients? And tell them who you are, what you're looking to do. I want to buy a business. Here's why I want to buy a business. I need a CPA and a lawyer to help me close a deal that I find, and say to them, you know, I've not really found any good deals at the moment. And you say to them, you know, if you come across deals that fit that specification, by all means, send them through to me. Now, if they have a client that owns a business in that space, then they will still originate the deal for you because it helps their client sell the business, but then they won't be able to act for you. You can't have a lawyer or a CPA in the middle advising both you as the buyer and the seller of the business. But they'll still engage and set that deal up because then they're going to make money from the seller as part of that transaction. So really important that you're cute with this and you do this properly. Again, there's detailed training in CEO or the Launchpad Pro program if you're in either of those to walk you through it step by step.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, let's see. So that's the accountants and lawyers from Bangor. So hopefully we got your question answered there. Let's see here. Kevin made the comment, definitely agree. The more deals you see, the better you get at spotting good ones. Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually one of the really big benefits of Dealmaker Academy, where we're reviewing 2 deals every week, some of which can be your deals. You submit them, we review your deal. But the real benefit is how do we accelerate as much deal review and as much business exposure as possible for you? And the Academy program is really good at that. You know, Carl and I, and through our business investment group, we've looked at over 600 companies this year, over 600. We are seeing just literally tons and tons of deals. And so the idea is that if you're not seeing a ton of deals, how do you foster that experience and shorten the learning curve as quickly as possible? That's one of the core values of the Academy program, which is where you're seeing those deals. You're watching live fire exercise. Yesterday, for example, we had an awesome Academy call. Carl pitched a deal. And so our lead coach, John, and I, we reviewed it and passed our comments on it. Hyper unique situation. And there were some specifics around the balance sheet on that company that when you are doing your own origination and you're looking at financial statements, you would have never thought to think of some of these things unless you happen to see that red light, green light call, and you happen to see the opportunity to figure out, ooh, here's why that's a problem or could be a risk, or the narrative of the seller doesn't match the actuality of the business. And what does that actually mean? So there's real power in kind of accelerated experience. So it's a great program. So, but the idea is, Kevin, you're absolutely right. The more deals you look at, the better you're going to get at spotting the good ones. It's how you take that top of the funnel and quickly make sure it's quality going in, because the less junk you're putting in, the better off your origination funnel will be. So Chad, we've already answered your question around how soon should I begin pursuing this after your current deal? The answer is you should pursue it now. You shouldn't wait. Pursue it now, absolutely. There's no need to wait. There's no need to wait on that at all. You want to take a look at it as soon as possible. No issues there. So let's see here. Let's see, money cash. If I join and do everything you state correctly, what % chance do you think I will own a solid business? Now, Carl, before you answer this, because I know you've got a great answer for this one, before you answer this question, I have to shout out all the people in the chat who responded to money cash. Bala, Kevin, Chad, Guad, and I'm forgetting your name, I think it was Rohan. You know, they jumped up and stepped up to the plate and answered the question. And I'm sure it will match your answer in some ways. Answer 1, I feel like the answer is close to, you won't know it until you do it. Kevin said, it's all about the work you put in, just like anything in life.
Yes.
Like, I can tell you that the resources in the group are amazing. The people are super helpful, definitely worth it. The tools work, but not on every deal. You have to build your own toolbox and learn how to use each tool. And then the percentage chance is 100% up to you. So those were the 4 answers people gave. And I have to say, you guys nailed it. But Carl, here's your crack. Be answer number 5.
Yeah. So I totally agree. Let me ask you the same question, the person that answered the question, and let me give you a gym analogy. So let's say you sign up for the best gym in the world. It's got all the equipment you need. It's got all the machines that you need. It's got all the nutrition that you need. It's the best gym you could ever join. So you've paid that membership, right? If you go to the gym every day like I just did 75 hard, and you do the workouts and you do the nutrition, you do everything that you're supposed to do, you follow the rules and you do the work, you will 100% get the results. My goal in 75 hard was to drop 30 pounds, and I did it because I did the work and I didn't quit. If you join the gym and you never go, you're not going to get the results. And it's the same with any of our training or anything else in life you ever attempt to do between now until the day you die. If you do the work and you follow the rules and you follow the process and you dial in your mindset, which we teach you, and you take massive action every day, you will get the results that you want. If you don't do any of that stuff, then you won't get the results that you want. So, buying businesses, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich slow scheme. You have to do the work. You have to put in the effort, and anything in life that you want to do that's meaningful, those rules will apply. So if you're prepared to do the work, and you're prepared to follow the rules, and you're prepared to do whatever it takes, you'll succeed, my friend. No question.
Yeah, and I have to agree with all of that, right? It's no one's going to walk the road for you. You've got to walk it. It's a great road to be on. Hell, here I am hanging out in Mexico, owning businesses around the world. It's a great road to walk down, but it took a lot of work to get here. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you work hard and you put in the effort and you follow, listen, we'd love to have you in our program. We'd love to have you be a successful student like so many others, but there's probably others out there you can find some kind of training from. I don't know if they're all doing deals, and I don't know if they've done the level of deals we have. And so you can pick who you want to work with. Certainly some people have mentioned in the chat the benefits they've had of working through the program. But none of that actually matters unless you're willing to put in the work. And frankly, that's the kind of students we want to work with anyways, the people who want to do the work to actually change their lives. That's what means the most to us. So let's see, next questions here. So David's asked, hey, Carl, my background is in hospitality, restaurants management. What are your thoughts on trying to acquire a business within this industry at this time, considering the effects of COVID-19?
Yeah, I guess it all depends on where the business is and whether the business can pivot to be, a different business model. So, very good friend of mine owns an Italian restaurant in my local village, and I've been going there for 15 years, and I spent tens of thousands of dollars or pounds inside of that restaurant. When COVID hit, Jamil called me and he said, look, what am I going to do? I've got to close the doors. I can't sell alcohol, I can't sell food. And I said to him, just pivot, offer delivery services, sell wine by the bottle, even sell the bottles of beer or spirits that you have, sell all your food, go take out. And obviously the UK is not like the US in that we don't have the viral Uber Eats and all those different things. Most of the UK is little towns and villages all over the country. We don't even have Uber in a lot of the UK. So for him to do that, it was risky for him, but he's 4x his revenues and probably 9x his profit since lockdown. And even though the UK has just gone back into lockdown, when all the restaurants opened again in July, he stayed as a delivery service because he was making so much money. He turned his entire restaurant into one giant kitchen and packaging facility. So like any business, I probably wouldn't buy an airline or a cruise ship right now, but most other businesses, you can pivot and take advantage of these new norms. I've got friends in retail that have done the same thing. They won't ever reopen as an in-store retailer because they've gone 100% to the internet and they're making just so much more money. So there's always ways to pivot, and your opportunity as a deal maker is find businesses where the owner is either unwilling to pivot or is too stubborn to pivot. They think that what they've done for the last 30 years will eventually come back. It may or it may not, but you can still survive and even thrive through the current environment by pivoting your business model to the new normal that we're seeing.
Yeah, and just to dovetail on the back of that, right? Especially hospitality and restaurants in general, I would make the argument it's the best time to get in. It's also the worst time to get in. It's the best time to get in because valuations are rock bottom, right? You can pick up things for pennies on a dollar. However, it's the worst of times because you're coming into a highly uncertain situation. What regulations, what limitations, whether you can be open or not open. Maybe it's a business that thrives in delivery or hasn't even explored delivery, right? So the idea is there's always something there you can evaluate. But then I've got a real twist for you. If you've been in restaurant management, I would argue you've actually been in manufacturing, not restaurants. So I just want to challenge your beliefs and limitations on what is possible for you as an individual, right? A restaurant in and of itself is just another kind of manufacturer. It's all it is. It's taking a bunch of raw materials, applying a process and some labor, and turning out a finished product, right? It's no different than an actual manufacturer in so many of the KPIs, so many of the metrics, and so many of the decision-making processes that rule a restaurant. I know there's some people who own restaurants like Chad, who's watching today. Things that Chad is probably doing in his restaurant is the same thing that I've seen in restaurants before, where I've been in the industry and in the space. Everything is built around efficiency. Everything is built around minimizing waste, maximizing value, handling your labor efficiently. Listen, my cost of food sales has to be sub 25%, but we'll take it even further. Liquor's got a bucket, wine's got a bucket, meat's got a bucket, all other food products have a bucket, right? Like everything's got different buckets and you can know and control. And it's just like any input into a manufacturing process. So as long as you've got that kind of stuff and that kind of management experience, there's nothing wrong with you potentially exploring outside of the restaurant business into even small manufacturers and things like that. Raw materials, labor, finished product. They're a little bit different. You might not have the same level of comfort or confidence, but realize it's the mindset and the approach and the experience you bring that can potentially overcome some of those limitations. So I would challenge you to think a little bit bigger for sure. So hopefully we answered your question there. And the same thing goes, a little pivot on that. We get asked all the time, I'm in XYZ industry and I don't know if businesses can be bought in that space. Identify the core skills you really have and then recognize what other industries those skills apply or are relevant, right? If you're a knock up, bang up marketer, you can probably work in most industries. The key here, and this is why we talk about deal specification so much and stay in your lane, stay with what you know, stay with what you're comfortable with, is because it's less about how you handle the company after acquisition. It's more about how you handle the buying process with the sellers. Sellers want someone who's credible, can walk the walk and talk the talk. And if you don't know anything about the space, they're going to have a hard time believing or having any confidence in you that they're going to sell you that business and they're going to maximize an earnout with you. They're going to maximize any other upside or seller note isn't going to get paid. So that's where we talk about stay in your lane, know what you're really comfortable with. So really evaluate your skills and understand what makes sense. So hopefully that helps you guys. Let's see. So that was for David. So another David, Carl, how do you currently meet lawyers and accountants in 2020? There's no networking anymore.
Zoom, Microsoft meetings, telephone calls. Better to do it face to face because it's easier to build rapport. Remember TCRS, trust, credibility, rapport, safe pair of hands. A lot easier to do that face to face, like we're face to face today. And it's actually a lot easier these days to do this thing by Zoom. It saves you time having to travel. You're not having to schedule in someone's diary to physically go into their office, which depending on where you live, you probably can't do right now. What I'm finding is professional advisors, they do have a lot more time available, and they're always in the market to try and grow their own business, grow their own practice. So they're always keen on having the conversations like I talked about before. Position yourself as a potential client of this advisor, and you're going to need help in closing the deal. So, using LinkedIn or other networking tools to get these people, get their email addresses and phone conversations. and then just be sitting at your computer having Zoom calls. I'm doing it, Adam's doing it, thousands of students in our programs are doing it. So that's definitely something that you should be doing as part of it.
We are literally streaming live using Zoom.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I'd rather be in a hotel ballroom talking to you guys live, but we can't do that right now. We'll get back to doing that hopefully next year. But yeah, Zoom is your friend, and it's free. You can speak for 45 minutes, and it's free. You don't even have to pay for it. LinkedIn and Zoom are free tools. You can have millions of conversations with people, and it won't cost you any money whatsoever. So definitely use those tools.
Absolutely. Okay, so we did have a question that came in from the email earlier, so we'll just address this. So Mark, I don't know if you're on the call, if you'll listen to it later, but we just want to answer your question. So Marcus asked, I'd like to see a better breakdown on how to speak to the banks. I don't feel that you've explained enough in detail in the past. I've spoken to several banks, and they're only interested in the money the company is making, not the equipment or inventory. How do I get past this and get the collateral needed?
So that's a great question. And Mark, if you're in Dealmaker CEO or Launchpad Pro, there is a very detailed training lesson and loads of tools on exactly how the financing process works. So when you're talking to banks, you're obviously at the later stage of a deal. And when you talk about them not being focused on the assets of the business, on the cash flows, both are actually really, really important. Assets are important because that's one of the financial attributes of the business that you can use to raise money. So whether it's real estate, fixed assets, inventory, or accounts receivables, those are all assets on the business that can be utilized to generate funds for you to buy the business. But the cash flow of the business, why the banks are always focused on the cash flow, is it doesn't matter what the assets are in the business. If you find a business that's not making any profit, A, you shouldn't be buying that business anyway. But B, if you're doing a deal and the business has got no cash flow, it doesn't have the money to service the loan that you're going to be using to buy the business. So banks and other financiers, they're typically looking for both assets and cash flows. Having said that, there is a process called a cash flow lend. And that allows you to raise financing to buy businesses that might not have any assets. So like an IT company or a software company, something like that. And that's where the SBA come in. The SBA can finance those deals, or traditional banks doing something called a cash flow loan. So I think going forward, Adam, financing might be worth its own little mini training like this. We can do that on a future YouTube live, or we can go into the details, in a bit more detail. So how does that work? You're okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely slot that in, no problem at all. So let's get to another question here. Thanks guys for so many questions. We really appreciate it. Okay, so Pamela's asked, how does the broker get paid in an LBO deal? What is a broker's typical percentage? Well, it really depends on how that deal structure. Brokers are paid off the percentage of the guaranteed sales price typically. So in a deal where a company's making, say, $300,000 a year in earnings, and you've paid just over a 3 times multiple, so you've paid $1 million, okay? Or that's the valuation of the business. If the seller is holding a full note, or you're putting down some combination of a closing payment or otherwise, but the guaranteed purchase price is $1 million, so pretty much anything not including an earnout, they're going to get paid their percentage against the $1 million. I've seen percentages anywhere from 5 to 10%. So on a 10% rate, the broker is going to pocket $100,000 of the $1 million for their fee for the transaction. So when factoring that into an LBO, you've got to play that into the seller psychology. And this is why direct deals are better where you don't have a broker. But when you have a broker, you factor that into the actual closing payment and seller psychology when you're putting the deal together. For example, if the business has enough assets, accounts receivable, equipment, et cetera, that you can pull out a $500,000 closing payment for that business, you'll write a check for $500,000, leveraging those assets. The seller is then going to write a $100,000 check to the broker, and they'll have a net of $400 in their pocket. but it's important to really understand how that impacts deals that don't necessarily have the assets to do a true LBO, or in the case where the seller's holding the full note. How are they going to get the cash to pay the broker? So one option here, and I love this option, and it's rare to find a broker who doesn't want to make even more money. But what I do is I say, seller, I'm going to save you money. Broker, I'm going to pay you more money. And everyone wins because the deal gets closed. So in the case where you've got a deal where there's not a very large closing payment, or at least large enough to ensure that the seller has cash above and beyond the broker's payment, I simply negotiate with the broker. This is deal making. You can negotiate with anyone and everyone in the process. And that's the beauty of this. So the broker, I might say, listen, you're 100,000, okay? What if I paid you 125,000, right? You're going to make 25 grand more for the same transaction, but you have to collect your payments over a 2-year period of time, paid monthly, and half of it comes from the seller, half of it comes from me. So now the seller is thinking, instead of paying 100,000 by myself, I only have to pay 62,500 bucks for the broker, and I get to pay him out of over time. It's not a big check at the point of closing. So the seller's happy because they saved 37,500 bucks. The broker's happy because they made 25K more, really just for getting payments over a couple of years. And I'm happy because I closed the deal and have cash flowed out. The business is paying for the fee. And so for deals where the seller's holding most, if not all, of the paper, and you don't really have a big closing payment, it's an awesome way to kind of juice the closing process and the seller's experience where they're not out of their cash. The best part is if you're paying a seller monthly payments over that period of time, you simply can deduct their portion of the broker fee right out of it, pay them the net, and then you take and just write one check to the broker. So you make sure the broker is getting paid. Everybody walks away happy. Everybody walks away a winner, and you've bought a company using other people's money that way. And it's a great little strategy in an LBO styled situation, offer and structure where you don't have to rock up with that much of a closing payment out of the balance sheet or things like that to still get the deal across the line. Anything to add to that?
That's a great question. Something I want to do real quickly, if I can. My Facebook Messenger is blowing up like absolute crazy. So some of the people on this YouTube live are friends with me on Facebook. I tend to accept the friend requests. So a lot of people blow me up and say, hey, what's this Launchpad Pro product that you keep talking about? You've been mentioning it throughout the training. You know, what is it? Is it new? And it is new. Let me just take a minute just to tell you about it. So this is really, really cool. So Launchpad Pro is a product that that Adam, myself, and the team, we've been working on really, really hard for the past week. As you know, about a week ago, before that, I was 50, and we made the decision to do a big birthday promo for Dealmaker CEO, and we got tons and tons of new students into the Dealmaker CEO family. And then Donna, our kind of customer service and operations lead, came with this great idea. Let's survey all of the people on our email list and ask them, you know, what are the challenges they're facing, and maybe why didn't they come into the Dealmaker CEO program? And what was really interesting is there were two massive responses to that. One was cost. The cost of enrolling into Dealmaker CEO was a little bit prohibitive, especially in the current situation. And a lot of people, you know, really looked at Dealmaker CEO. Obviously, a lot of them joined, but some people looked at it and thought, wow, there's so much training here. There's so much to learn. There's so many tools. Wouldn't it be amazing if you guys had a lower cost product that was a little bit more distilled and had all or a lot of the things that I would need to really start my deal making journey? So we decided to kind of pivot an existing product that we had called Launchpad and make it even more powerful and useful for people to really start quickly the journey of buying a business. So let me tell you about Dealmaker Launchpad Pro in a little bit more detail. So it's got 5 key elements to it. So we're CEOs, a 10-step process. We've kind of squeezed it down into 5 steps. So it's mini training that gets you really, really far in your deal process. So today we're talking about mindset, and your mindset is really important. So really dialing that in is critical. So we go through all the mindset piece. We go through a lot of the deal specification tools so that you can really understand, what's a perfect business for you to buy. To Adam's point, so you know what you're looking for when you start your deal origination. And then we get into the details of a lot of the deal origination strategies that we hinted at as part of this little mini training today. So brokers, how to deal with brokers, how to negotiate with brokers, how to do the direct approaches, all the scripts that we talked about, we give you those as well. How to leverage social media and get LinkedIn and Facebook as places to send you tons of high quality deals. And then how to build that relationship network that we talked about, the wealth managers, the CPAs, the attorneys, the financiers. How do you leverage all those amazing people in your locality or even specifically in the industry you're targeting to send you tons and tons of great deal flow? So we've put all that together for you in the Dealmaker Launchpad Pro program, but there's some awesome bonuses as well. So we're going to give you guys a copy of my book. Let's see if my book's in my library. It is. I've got the book. Zero Down Business Buying Secrets. We give you a copy of this bad boy. And then there's also a really awesome little bonus training. We call it 8 weeks. We call it 15 minutes to your first seller lead. So how do you get really, really quick, fast, high quality deal flow just in a matter of minutes, just to get you started looking at deals, analyzing deals, and really helping you feel like you're a badass deal maker starting on this journey. But the really awesome stuff, the real kind of golden nugget in this training is what you probably know is we have one of our platinum programs is called the Dealmaker Academy. And inside the Dealmaker Academy, Adam alluded to it a few minutes ago. Every Thursday, our Academy members, we go through deals. So Academy members will send in deals. We anonymize them. I'm working on a transaction right now for props. It's in the early stages. I teed that deal up yesterday. And there's some incredible deal makers on the Academy call. It's not just myself and Adam and John, who's our head of coaching, and Sarah, who's the CFO of our props private equity business. But there's some deal makers on there that they have closed deals. They were like you were even 3-6 months ago. They had no idea how this worked. They were attending this free training. They've joined, they went into the academy as well, and they're sending in their deals. And it's called the red light, green light training. And what we do on the academy call is that we take a bunch of deals on a weekly basis and we break them down. And Adam and I and John and Sarah will tell you how we would close those deals. What are the questions that are coming out? What are the things that you need to find out from the seller? And we focus on the numbers, but we also focus a lot on that seller psychology, what we talked about before. So it's really, really valuable. So what we've decided to do, and this is crazy, this is so crazy, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to give you guys 8 weeks access to the red light, green light trainings. So you won't be joining the call because Academy is a $10,000 a year program, as you know, because some of you are in it. But what we're actually going to do is there's 8 deals that we've reviewed over the past few months that really kind of give you everything, give you all of that analytical insights that you need to be able to do deals. And we're going to give you 16 deals that you can watch. You can watch our reviews, and you're going to learn so much through those bonus trainings. Every deal you look at, you're going to be able to kind of link to one of these other deals, and you know exactly what to do and how to take the deal to the next step. So this Launchpad Pro offer, so having mindset, deal specification, deal origination, we'll even talk to you about other people's money, how to use other people's money to finance your deals. There's a full business buying checklist in there as well, plus all of those crazy bonuses. We've decided we're going to give you all that stuff for only one payment of $297. And all this is designed to really get you started in your deal making journey for that really low starting investment. So let me ask you a question. What's your gut telling you right now? Because if you're still watching this YouTube right now, it's because you want to learn how to buy a business, and your gut is telling you it's probably a good idea to enroll in this $297 Launchpad Pro training that we just talked about, and really get you started on the journey with Adam and I coaching you throughout the process. And if I could just give you one piece of advice, it would be this: really listen to your gut. Because if I had listened to my own gut back in, gosh, 2008, when I abandoned, the corporate world. As you know, I was doing this for other people. If I had not abandoned the corporate world, listened to my gut to become the entrepreneur that I am today, my life would have been very, very way different. I wouldn't have the wealth I have now, the network I have now. I wouldn't have the endless opportunities I have now. And I wouldn't have the freedom that I have now to choose my own path, set my own hours, and really, I'll be honest, live the life of my dreams with my family. So, if your gut is telling you that, going deeper with Adam and I, as students of Launchpad Pro, if your gut's telling you that's the right thing to do, I sincerely urge you to listen to it. And I was doing some back of the napkin math while Adam was answering one of the last questions. My decision to become a deal maker, a full-time buyer of businesses, it saved me 37,440 painful hours having to work for someone else. And that decision, that journey, it's generated me at least 8 figures in wealth creation since that pivotal moment back in 2008 when I listened to my own gut and I made that big call. And what's really even more powerful for me is that decision has been spread across the amazing student base that we have today. And those hours and that wealth creation that I've personally had, that's now multiplied in terms of what they've been able to achieve, not having to work for other people and the money that they're now generating. So may I ask you a personal question, right? So we both know there's a risk to going deeper, and perhaps you won't like the training. That's why there's a money back guarantee. Perhaps you won't finish the training. That's why Launchpad Pro has a private Facebook members group where we'll push you and keep you accountable. There's students in there that are even in the academy program. They're even in the Procs program. They've done deals, so they can advise you and coach you and move you along as well. But there's no shortage of what ifs in this life. But here's the most important what if of them all. What if you made this work? Seriously, what if you made this work for yourself? Just take an arbitrary guess. Just write down on a piece of paper. Write down what one good deal may be worth to you. Is it $100,000? Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? Is it more? Now compare that to the risk of not going deeper with Adam and I. Now here's the personal question. Is it worth it? Is success for you worth that risk? For Adam and myself, it is, and it always has been. So if you're like me and you're like Adam, you want more for yourself, you want more for your family, your gut's telling you it's the right thing to do to go deeper, then enroll in the Launchpad Pro program and get started with the training that we've put together at this crazy low price. So the enrollment page, let's hope we're dropping it in the chat, it's trainwithcarl.com/Launchpad Pro. So trainwithcarl.com/Launchpad Pro. We're only going to make this available for a very short space of time. So don't miss the chance to get started and get into the deal making journey. So make the call, guys. And the reason I say this is I don't want you to find yourself maybe 1 year from now. So November 2021, I don't want you looking in the mirror and saying, wow, I've not progressed at all. I should be so much further ahead from where I was just 12 months ago. If only I'd listened to my gut and said, yes, let's do this. So I invite you guys, come train with us. $297. It's less than $1 a day if you amortize that over a full year. Would you spend $1 a day to change your life? I sincerely hope so.
Well, Carl, and I think you've hit so much of what's key there, right? And there's some people who've asked, listen, if you're a Dealmaker CEO student or an Academy student, this isn't for you. This is for the people who are looking to get started and aren't sure. We wanted to give someone in that position an opportunity to really get started and to understand what deal making can be for them. Because as Carl has said, what happens if this works? Here I am, a deal maker in my own right, a business partner to Carl, a business owner of multiple businesses.
You're in Mexico.
And here I am living in Mexico, right? I can go anywhere, be anywhere, do anything. And I want that for you if that's what you want. You don't necessarily have to live in Mexico, but you can live and be where you want to be. You can provide for your family. You can create a legacy. You can frankly, you can make the people around you somewhat envious of your success. And the idea is it all comes down to, are you willing to take the chance and risk it, right? So one thing I would say is deal makers are action takers. You don't hesitate, you move forward and you make the decision. So we want you guys to move forward. We want you guys to jump in and get started. And that's why we put Launchpad Pro together. We have dropped a link in the comments if you're interested in joining. And before we sign off, there's a couple other questions. Let's make sure we answer questions for people who are here. So let's see what else we have here. Okay. Lots of questions. Let's see here. For my first deal, is it better to go for a sector I know but is less profitable versus going for a deal in a sector I do not know but know the numbers are better? Always better to stay in your lane and stay with something you're comfortable, right? Even though we are teaching owner investor, not owner operator, and I want to be very, very clear, you're not an owner operator, you are an owner investor. To strategically lead that company, you want to know something about that space.
Yeah, you would, because if you're buying a business in a sector that you know and that you understand and you've got a network to deploy and you can add value, you can very, very, very quickly increase the profitability of that industry. Whereas if you buy a business that you don't know that's got higher profit, because you don't know what you're doing, it's likely that the profits may suffer. So definitely stay in your lane for that first deal. And unless you have that badass horizontal skill set that Adam talked about before, whether it's marketing, legal, whether it's CPA, it doesn't matter, because you'll be able to move the needle in any sector if you've got those skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So Garrett's asked, to find an appropriate size deal that meets my personal income goal, in your experience, do most owner operators take a salary, or is their comp based on the business's EBITDA? Well, first of all, you're not an owner operator, you're an owner investor. Unless you are dead set at going into that business every day and running it, you are not an operator. Your general manager, the person who runs it every day, they take a salary and probably have some kind of incentive based on the performance of the business to really keep them engaged and focused on growing the company. And you, the profits are your income, right? I want to buy a business that's doing $1 million a year in profit and I can pay someone a couple $100,000 to run it. That means I'm still putting, or have the opportunity to put $800,000 a year in my pocket. And that's where owner investors really make their hay, because you can own multiple companies. And because you're not doing the work every day in the business, you can help manage many of them. It's what Carl and I do. Hopefully that answered that, Garrett. Let's see. Rajan, one deal I'm looking at has a 3.6 multiple on net earnings, not EBITDA, and it's based on trailing 12 months only. Is that normal? No. It sounds like it's being positioned by a broker who's just trying to maximize value and set some kind of a market. At the end of the day, valuation is the number you're willing to pay for a company, right? Doesn't mean it gets the deal close, because the seller's got to accept it, but you should only ever pay for a company something you're comfortable paying for, the amount you're comfortable paying, and the deal structure you're comfortable paying.
What's interesting, if it's 3.6 times net income, then it's going to be a lower multiple of the EBITDA, because you're deducting interest, tax, depreciation, amortization of goodwill. So you might find that deals 2 times EBITDA, which is, the low end of the average scale. So depending on the industry, that would be a sensible multiple for the deal. But remember, guys, the multiple is only one part of the deal. The terms of the deal are much more important. So Adam, would you pay 5 times EBITDA for a company?
Of course I would, if I could pay for it over 15 years.
There you go. Exactly. So
deal structure is far more important than the valuation in and of itself. There are reasons why you wouldn't want to pay 5x even over a 15-year period. There are valid reasons why you wouldn't want to pay that high multiple. However, in the grand scheme of things, deal structure trumps valuation, because it allows you to manage the future cash flows of the business in a very profitable way for you, above and beyond the cost of debt service on an annual basis. Okay, so let's see here. Next questions. Srinivas, Found one deal with profits of 140K, but has no staff. Owner's willing to teach the basics. It's in a valve industry. Sale price could be around 150,000 pounds. If I employ staff, is it worth it? I would say sounds too small for me to be interested, right? If there's no staff in the business, it's just the sellers, the person doing everything. You're buying a job, you're not buying a business. And we highly recommend you don't do that unless you're dead set on buying a job, which feels expensive to me. I'd rather not pay for something to just pay myself to work every single day. Dave has asked, do you have a process after asking them why they are selling the business? Meaning how to uncover the real reason. I think most sellers, if you just ask a question and let them talk and you just listen, you're gonna find out whether it's direct and they're transparent, or if they're kind of masking it. It'll come out in other answers. So the biggest thing is, remember, buying a business and talking with sellers is a lot like dating. You're getting to know the person. And just like you're getting to know the person, you're going to uncover who they really are over the course of multiple conversations. You know, for us, we want to target that retiring seller. And it's pretty easy to find out if someone's retiring. That 35-year-old who's selling a business he started 5-10 years ago, they're not retiring. They've got other things in their mind for what they want to do in life, and they're looking for a cash out more than likely. Someone who's 65 years old, they've been running this company for 30, 35 years, they are looking to retire. So you don't necessarily have to look too far to find the real answer. And most sellers aren't going to be shy about what they're looking to do in the future. Let's see. Pamela's asked, I'm interested in a deal that is through a broker. Oh, we already answered that one. My bad. Let's see. What is the preferred way to finance a roll-up of a professional service business with little to no assets to leverage?
So professional services businesses do have assets. So typically they will have accounts receivables. So let's say you find a business, professional services company doing $1 million in revenues, say $100,000 in profits. You're buying that business for say 2.5 times profits, so $250,000. That business is probably got 60 to 90 days of its revenue tied up in accounts receivables on its balance sheet. So you might have $250,000 of AR on your balance sheet for that business. And as long as it's, you know, good clients, luckily you might get $200,000 in financing. So if you're buying a business for 250 and you can get 200 in financing for a closing payment, then you know, you're well off to the races in terms of structuring that deal and closing it. And then, you know, I love roll-ups, Adam, and I know you do too. Roll-ups are amazing opportunities. And, you know, for the earlier student that was buying a really, really small business, buying a small business is bad unless you can probably do a roll-up. If you can buy 5 of them or 10 of them or 15 of them, you can extract a lot of duplicate costs and just generate a lot more cash flow when you're combining these deals together. So on the professional services piece, if you're on our Confessions of a Dealmaker newsletter, I did a walkthrough of a professional services deal, gosh, a couple of months ago. So on dealmakerwealthsociety.com, in the archive of all of the confessions, emails, and blogs, there's a full walkthrough on how to structure a professional services deal in the way that I've just described. So it'll give you a lot more detail than what I just said. So you can definitely finance those deals for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just want to shout out everyone who's in the chat who's talking about the Dealmaker programs and how amazing they are. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We do. You know, we hope you guys all become successful entrepreneurs in your own right. It's really our mission here. So really appreciate it. Okay, so Linda. Hey, Linda. Good to hear from you.
Hey, Linda.
If buying just the assets of a healthy business, who pays down or negotiates away liabilities and how? What about payables, assuming you want to maintain a business with good suppliers versus long-term liabilities? So the easiest and shortest question is everything is negotiable. Typically in an asset sale, you're buying the assets free and clear of all encumbrances or debt. So if you have equipment that's tied up with some kind of notes payable, the proceeds of the purchase, the seller will take those and pay down the debt. However, you can, again, with anything, negotiate that the liabilities come along with some of those revenue generating assets. When it comes to payables, again, in an asset purchase, a lot of times people are looking for a cash-free, debt-free deal. And so it's totally up to you and how you want to structure the deal. You have that flexibility.
Yeah.
For us, we've done asset deals where we include cash and we include things. The real structure around an asset purchase is more around the legal entities. Instead of doing a share purchase, we're just pulling over the working capital, operating assets, capital assets, and associating operating liabilities with them. So you can do that even in an actual asset purchase. Asset versus share is really talking about the manner in which you're acquiring them, not necessarily what's always included in the purchase. Let's see here. When you do an initial meeting with the seller, this is from Alex, Carl says it's important you don't mention a no money down deal. Do you send the offer letters without the seller knowing it's a no money down? So I'm going to let Carl answer this, but the one point I want to make is the initial meeting with a seller and the point in which you put an offer letter together, there's a lot of stuff in the middle there, like a whole lot of stuff. So just keep that in mind. Carl, you want to actually?
Yeah, it's like, would you walk into a bar, meet a member of the opposite sex or the same sex? Doesn't matter to me. Would you meet them and within 10 minutes ask them to marry you? You know, you wouldn't. Most times they would run away. You're going to spend time dating them. You're going to spend time getting to know them. You know, what you like about them, what they like about you. And then a period of time elapses and you might want to take that to the next level and even marry that person. So there's a time period. It's the same when you're doing a deal. If you walk into a seller meeting and within 10 minutes, hey, I'm going to buy your business. I'm not using any of my own money. It's going to be no money down. You're going to have to wait for all of your money until they know you, like you, trust you, and you've developed trust, rapport, credibility, and you've positioned yourself as that safe pair of hands. They're probably going to throw you out of the building. You need to spend the time building and nurturing that relationship. Really, really important.
Yeah, it's crazy critical. Let's see here.
Have we got time for another couple of questions?
Yeah, we've got time. I'm just skimming through. There's so many good comments about how great our programs are. I just got to get past them all. so bear with me. Chrome Clapper has said the biggest thing is to not hesitate. Take action if you want to change your life. Couldn't agree more.
I like that guy.
Yeah. Do the bank and or the escrow folks handle the whole transaction moves? If I know the seller really well, do I just put my 20% down payment to escrow the bank, or can I just send it to the seller? You should have attorneys throughout the entire process. You want to use an escrow, allow the attorneys to handle the transaction of money. You do not want to be involved with that element. Just let them do it. It's part of the process. It avoids any issues, to say the least. So, yeah, no worries at all. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, if you have retail investor interest, how could I set up a fund to call the capital when I have a deal that I'm putting cash down on? Well, that's going to step a little bit outside the scope of today's conversation, but the shortest thing you could do is, if you're in the US, there's a ton of crowdfunding type opportunities and platforms where you could rock up, pitch the deal, and allow people to fund. If these are retail investors within your personal networking community, just set up a partnership, have them commit the capital and put it in. Make sure they put the money in at the point of you setting it up, and now you've got the capital ready to deploy if you're going to be making moves. We won't get into all of the details of crowdfunding and all that at this point. That's a much bigger conversation. All right, so here we go. Last question, unless I've seen anything else, but Jim has asked, when going into a partnership, do you recommend having a partner agreement? If so, what would you include in it? The first answer is yes.
Yes.
Always.
Always.
So legal partnership agreements and operating agreements are super important for a couple reasons. Number one, and this is probably the attorney lingo language getting beaten into my head. Operating agreements and shareholder agreements are there to protect everyone involved in the case something goes wrong, right? So Carl and I, we're business partners. We've signed many an operating agreement together. Rarely today even, yeah. Rarely are we signing an agreement because I don't like Carl and Carl doesn't like me and we've got problems. We're happy. We're buddy. We're in a great situation. I can't wait to pick up Carl at the airport here in Mexico next week. We're in a great place, but that doesn't mean something can't go wrong. And it's not unusual for in business for there to be a difference of opinions, for there to be a change of objectives, and for there to be negative outcomes. And these operating agreements and shareholder agreements are purely designed to help dictate and determine ahead of time what the outcome and decision-making process is in the case of adversity of any type. And so the idea is it helps determine who actually makes the final decision. It determines what happens when the business is sold, what liabilities there are, who can make decisions in running and managing and operating the company. All of those things are hypercritical. I would strongly suggest you obviously find and build a relationship with an attorney who is familiar and has done a lot of M&A type transaction work, up to and including the setting up of entities with partnership agreements. So just super critical. It's a non-negotiable to have that set up.
Yep, totally agree.
Let's see here. Can CEO members have access to the red light, green light vault you're providing to Launchpad Pro? We've not talked about that, about kind of a separate upgrade or something like that. If you want to fire in a message to customer service, we'll talk about that and we'll get back to you just so we know how to get back to you. But I would highly recommend you make the jump to Academy anyways. That's just me. I think that program is worth it by a mile.
Check skills in and we'll structure them for you, tell you what to do next.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're literally getting, I don't know if I want to dox how old John is, but let's just say between John, Carl, and I, we're just well on our way to 100 years of deal making experience. And so it's just really important to know that if you're in the Academy program and you've got a deal and you submit it, you're getting all three of us looking at that and evaluating that deal and providing insights. That's unmatched. It is an opportunity for us to weigh in. Carl and I would say extremely rarely ever work one-on-one with students. It's a way for you to get access to us and really hear our insights on things and do so in a highly affordable way. For us to individually look at deals, we're talking about generally, I think right now we charge like five or so grand for 30 minutes of our time for direct one-on-one input. So Academy is a killer opportunity to get some of that, but in a group setting while also learning and watching other people's deals. So it's a killer value as a result.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. I am looking to see if we've got any other questions here. Guys, this has been unbelievable.
A great session.
Yeah, this has been killer. Normally we do these for an hour. We're at the 95-minute mark, guys. This is great. So glad you guys have joined us. We are super thrilled to have you. Chroma said John has 400 years of experience. He might as well. He's touched that many deals in his life, right? John is incredibly fabulous. I have nothing more or less to say about that than, John's an absolute all-star of all stars, and we're fortunate to have him as part of our family. And not only does John support the Academy program, John works with us in our investment group, and he helps support our deals. That's how much we appreciate John's experience. So, alrighty, guys, have a wonderful, absolutely wonderful weekend. I'm gonna go eat some tacos and have a great weekend. My brother's coming down to Mexico with his girlfriend, so we're going to hang out and have a good time. And I want all of you guys to remember you're one deal away from just changing your life. It just takes one deal. And the faster you take action to get down that road towards business ownership, the quicker your life will change.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, have a great weekend from me, guys. Always love doing these. You know, we're doing deals and we're coaching at the same time. This is the stuff that really lights me up. I love doing it. So I hope you enjoyed the training. If you're not in any of our programs, I sincerely urge you jump all over the Launchpad Pro offer. It's crazy. The value you're getting, the resources you're getting to give you that first start is truly incredible. So we'll see you inside of the membership groups and the Facebook groups. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys soon. Until then, bye for now. Have a great